Even though I titled this video Cancer, Viruses, and GcMAF, I'm actually going to go over several aspects that relate to the subject matter as far as your health goes. One of the things that can't be ignored is exercise, and one of the reasons why exercise can improve overall health, besides keeping the lymph system moving and the blood moving and things like that, is it does actually raise the electrical charge in your body's cells, individual cells. Each body cell has about a half a volt negative battery charge, each body's human cell, right? And exercise can help improve that. Like, you'll look at an athlete, they might be a little higher than that, a little bit higher than a half a volt, or actually it would be low. I guess it's a half a volt negative, so it'll be maybe 6/10 of a volt negative, 7/10 of a volt negative on a highly trained athlete. As a cell becomes more weak, it'll go down to a quarter volt negative, and when it dies, it goes down to a 0 volt negative and 0 volts, and the frequency diminishes. Exercise can keep you alive a lot longer as long as you don't overdo it and overstrain things and push things too hard. There's a lot of benefits to exercise, even when you have cardiovascular problems, because it could open up new pathways, provided you're not overdoing it. That's one thing. I want to mention that. Now, there's other things out there that can provide anti-cancerous effects indirectly, because one of the problems is cancer is like caused to be growing faster due to things that are in the body that are like toxins, and things that, like alpha lipoic acid is one of the strongest antioxidants going. And also combined with acetyl L-carnitine will help you produce ATP, which will give you more energy. And there's really not one single thing that does everything. There's no like wham bam cure all for everything. GcMAF seems to be pretty close to the wham bam cure all of everything. That it's too good to be believed, but it's probably true. I looked at some of the research done. Basically what it does, because I want to say before I get into the GcMAF, there's a lot of other things you ought to be doing. You should be taking the vitamin D, you should be taking the K2, the magnesium, the vitamin C, and also the better form of vitamin D with vitamin A from cod liver oil, the fish oil, the flax oil, the borage oil, the coconut oil, and the olive leaf extract, and kelp with iodine in it, and things like that, and the French pine bark extract. In other words, not one thing does the whole job. I mean, there's always a sales pitch on one, and I try to get my vitamins not from an expensive place, but I also have to watch that there's a lot of supplement stores out there that aren't very good, and they sometimes will sell you fake stuff. I personally use Swanson vitamins and Puritan Pride online. I think they're cheap and they're inexpensive, and they test everything. Now, the thing with GcMAF is that it activates the macrophages, which actually will swallow up and destroy the viruses and the bacteria and the cancer cells. One thing that's common to all viruses and cancer is that they produce Nagalase. Nagalase is actually something that totally will destroy the production of GcMAF, your own natural GcMAF production in your body. And it also destroys, in other words, it does this by, there's a protein that is attached. It's actually a vitamin D binding protein is what you call it. That's what this is up here on the left, up on the top here. It's got 3 sugars attached to it. 2 of the sugars are removed, and it becomes GcMAF. Now, what the Nagalase does is, it's Nagalase. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it exactly correct. It will actually just break all the bonds between this protein and the sugars, so it's impossible that you can make the GcMAF, because the GcMAF is a protein with one of these sugars, and this one right here, this I don't want to say the word here. N-acetyl-galactosamine is that how you say it? But they're always going to make big words out of, usually these words mean something, something simple in plain language, but they always, whatever, use a little Latin in there. That's what they do. But the thing is, this is the GcMAF, and actually your body only requires, if they inject GcMAF in your body to activate, which will reactivate your immune system or macrophages, they only need nanometers of it, not milligrams, not micrograms, nanograms, billions of nanometers. I said nanograms, billions of a gram, billions, not mg, not mcg. I guess it's ng. I never seen any supplements around that even say that. I mean, I see some that say mcg, which is millionths of a gram. This is billionths of a gram. Very little of it will actually have a great effect. Now, the problem is Nagalase is so powerful that not only does it cause the body not to produce the GcMAF, but it also inactivates your immune system, the macrophages. Now, I've read that in a case of like an extreme virus like HIV, some of the people said that it actually, not only does it hijack the T4 helper cells and produce the virus inside the cell, but if HIV bounces against a T4 cell, it inactivates it. And I read that a long time ago, but I never knew about the Nagalase side, whatever it is. I've seen it spelled two different ways, to tell you the truth. I've seen it spelled Nagalase and ELSE, so who the hell knows? But I mean, the principle's the same. Whether I'm saying the exact word right or not, I'm just telling you this is what, and it's not even, there's a big long name for this. This is like the layman's term for it. Let's call it Nagalase. But this is actually deactivating the turning off the immune system. The one problem is that all cancers and viruses have this, and just a small amount of Nagalase, which is produced by all cancers and viruses, will destroy the GcMAF. Now, what you could do is you can also take a high-quality liposomal delivery cholesterol, and I have read, and this may or may not be true, because these whatever, it's very difficult to get this information out, but I am really picking up on that they don't really want you to know this stuff. I think there's something to this, and it's not expensive. That's the thing. It's not expensive. I got a good brand of this cholesterol, which had all these great ratings on it from Amazon, and it was only like 30-something bucks. And if you take 2 a day, that would last me 60 days because 120 capsules. Is that inexpensive? That's inexpensive. But the point is, there's been alleged stories where Nagalase has been put in our vaccinations. Could be. I don't know. Another thing is that I've read where Dr. Yamamoto, who discovered GcMAF in Japan, there's 15 HIV patients. He's got it up there. I'll provide the link if I can find it again. Where they did not have a totally compromised immune system. That's GcMAF only works if your immune system isn't totally compromised, because it turns on the immune system where it's inactive. In other words, if the immune system is gone, there's nothing there to turn on, so the GcMAF isn't going to work. That's why that usually doesn't work with people that have had their immune system totally destroyed by too much chemotherapy. And also in the case of extreme virus like HIV, the people that had an immune system that was really wiped out, it's not going to work. So, but he had 15 patients where the immune system was still, there, not mostly there, but still there somewhat. And he cured them. It was like, I'll show you the link. And after 7 years, they were still cured. I've also seen where they used just the colostrum in Nigeria, and they had like 99% reduction of HIV virus inside of 60 days or something. I was like, wow. But you know, cancers and HIV they both have this in common, where or any virus, you take the worst ones, you know, Ebola, HIV, and also Lyme disease. Lyme disease. By the way, Lyme disease, although it's not an STD per se, can be sexually transmitted, believe it or not. A lot of people don't realize that, because there's been a lot of cases where married couples, you know, the wife or the husband got the Lyme disease from the deer tick, and the partner got it from, you know, the one who had it originally through, you know, whatever. They're married, right? So they can do whatever they want, right? So anyway, that's how they got it. Now, the Nagalase, though, is like common to both of these. Now, I guess with HIV, there's a lot of Nagalase being produced, and it's turning off the immune system. I remember reading somewhere that if HIV even just bumps into a T4 cell, it turns it off. I'm thinking to myself, that's weird. How the hell does it do that? But it's the Nagalase. It must be that. It must be that. So what can turn it back on is the GcMAF. Now, the colostrum is not GcMAF per se, but it helps the body produce GcMAF. And what I have read is that if you take a good quality colostrum, liposomal delivery, which you would have to take on an empty stomach with 8 ounces of water, no food, because the digestive enzymes will destroy. Even a liposomal delivery won't work if you're eating food with this. It's got to get through into the bloodstream. But if you take the colostrum in a quantity of 10 times more than the GcMAF, it's equivalent. It's about roughly equivalent, according to some of these claims. Because I got to say that, because you know, somebody asked me, how do I know this? I don't know, okay? I don't know 100%. I'm just putting out something common sense, because this is like a super discovery, and it's been around for decades, and like hardly anybody knows about it. I know there's some videos out there on the internet with all this kind of stuff, but I'm trying to keep it down to practical 101. Now, some of the medicines I really trust is if you have Germany or Japan or Israel, you know, doing things in medicine, or even Italy. You know, I'm saying those are countries that are first-rate countries doing prime, you know, medical work. I don't trust, you know, some study coming out of, you know, whatever. It's like, but, you know, Dr. Yamamoto is the one that's been telling us for years and decades that this is very effective against both cancer and all viruses, this GcMAF. But you can't get GcMAF. And there's a lot of products out there that say it's GcMAF. I don't really think you can get that stuff like the way they say it is. They advertise it. I know there's a lot of advertisements out there. You can get, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't really trust it. I opted to get the colostrum. And what I saw, you know, on Amazon, which was, it's from Sovereign Labs. That's the one I got. But, you know, I'm also going to mention, though, you can't freaking just take one thing and expect the world of everything, because if you're toxifying your body, or you're not providing your body with enough nutrients, because, you know, first off, one of the reasons that vitamin D is quote-unquote anti-cancerous is because you need the vitamin D binding protein provided with that particular sugar molecule to make the GcMAF. If you have no vitamin D in your body, you're way short on vitamin D, you could take the colostrum or the GcMAF, and it'll do you some good, but it's not going to do you anywhere near as good. And I also realized that to get your vitamin D levels up, you have to have adequate amounts of magnesium, which most people in this country are in serious short supply for a couple reasons. One, the soils are depleted of the mineral, so you're not getting it through the food. And also the processing of food tends to remove the magnesium a lot faster than the calcium. The calcium doesn't seem to get removed very easily during processing of food, but magnesium, yeah. So virtually everybody in the United States is short on magnesium. So you could be out there in the sun quite a bit and not have your vitamin D levels go up. Personally, I think the sunlight method of getting vitamin D is the best. But you could take cod liver oil, I think, taking it, and if you take vitamin D, you're taking a little bit more than, quite a bit. Make sure you take K2, because the K2 tells the vitamin D to do its job in the right place, because otherwise the vitamin D is just going to take calcium and just produce more and more of calcification everywhere in your body, including your veins and your heart. You want to have the vitamin D do the job correctly, where it does the calcification of the bones and the teeth, and use the vitamin D to repair cells or help destroy cancer indirectly. I should say indirectly, because it's actually the vitamin D protein along with that sugar. Yeah, this vitamin D, that's what it is. It's a vitamin D binding protein. Deglycinated, whatever the hell that word is. I don't know, whatever. But it provided with another sugar makes the GcMAF. But if you don't have the vitamin D, you're not going to get production of GcMAF that much. You got to have that. So nothing's like one thing. But one big missing link is this GcMAF. And you only need a tiny, tiny, tiny amount. Now, like I said, I don't really trust a lot of people that say they're selling GcMAF, because I don't see how they could be. I mean, I think they're selling cholesterol. But if you get a high-quality cholesterol, that could greatly enable your body to produce a lot more GcMAF. But one thing is, you don't want to have your immune system that compromised in the first place. This stuff is probably good to take on an ongoing basis. This cholesterol. It's not that much money. I mean, yeah, it costs some money, but maybe a $500,000 medical bill is going to be a lot more than whatever your vitamins are ever going to be. Even if you live to be 1,000 years old, you're never going to run up a $500,000 vitamin bill. So, anyway, and also I want to mention this about this acetyl L-carnitine again in the alpha-lipoic acid. Alpha-lipoic acid has been known to be the strongest antioxidant going. You want your body, purged of all these free radicals, which that's why the free radicals don't directly cause cancer, but they help it along. That's one of the reasons why nicotinic acid or vitamin B3, which helps remove toxins, which toxins is the thing that also causes cancer to grow more. I mean, that's not really a medical statement. You look at California's laws about labeling may be cancer causing. Well, that's because there's all these toxins, and a lot of times you're exposed to these things. So a lot of times these antioxidants and things like vitamin B3, nicotinic acid, or even the free radical quencher vitamin C, which is one of my favorites, can be indirectly slightly anti-cancerous in a small way. But as far as in a big way, you want the cancer and the viruses suppressed as much as possible. When Nagalase turns off the macrophages, you want this GcMAF to turn them right back on and have them go after the viruses and the cancer. And I hope anybody, if this video gets reviewed, I don't think it is, but I hope whoever reviews it, because it's proven. Dr. Yamamoto had 15 HIV patients. 7 years later, no problem with this GcMAF. And I know YouTube has a little bit of a liberal slant, and I'm thinking to myself, how come they should be putting this stuff out. I shouldn't be putting this out. The YouTube team should be putting this out. To me, this is like, they got these ribbons and stuff they all wear about AIDS Awareness Month. I'm saying to myself, this guy knew about this for freaking 25, 30 years. And they've also tested it in Nigeria with just cholesterol, which is even nowhere near as strong as GcMAF. It just helps the body produce GcMAF. They reduced HIV by 99%. Which means if it does it on that, it does it on everything, every virus. And it's extremely effective on cancer. And there's a couple more things I could tell you about cancer. I'll tell you, You know, one thing too, I had a lot of videos on a parazapper. Now, one way I like that parazapper a lot is that it's something else. It's not related to this exactly or nothing, but it's about, you know, knocking out microbes. Is that it does reach the current, the electrical current that knocks out all microbes in water, does reach the blood no problem. And a lot of times when the body's overwhelmed with disease, whether it's cancer or viruses, it goes into the blood, and the body doesn't have enough immune system cells, or they're turned off. The immune system cells are turned off, where these cancers and viruses are floating throughout the blood, and they're going throughout all the body, and that's how it spreads. That parazapper does reach the blood supply, and if you're running that a lot, I run it a lot just as a precaution. If you're running that as a lot, your blood is going to be, it's going to knock out all those pathogens. And I know Hulda Clark also mentioned that it temporarily turns your immune system into a super immune system. What I'm thinking is, it's just like the battery voltage I was talking about in each cell, which applies to the immune system cells and the human cells. That positive offset, where the current is going one way, is working to short out microbes, which are oppositely charged as the immune system, as the body cells and immune system cells. And since it's almost like a battery charger, shorting out, putting it on backwards on the bad viruses and microbes, and the human cells are oppositely charged. But the zapper is basically working like a battery charger to strengthen them, which makes me think that it might be turning on immune system cells that have been shut off by Nagalase. So, I don't know how strong it works or not. If it worked that damn good, I think it would have been. I think it has some effect, though. I think it does. I wish I could test this, like under some kind of super powerful microscope or something. I don't have the equipment, but I know what Hulda Clark said, and I know what my experiences are, because when I tested my body voltage with this Thunderbolt body tester after using the parazapper for, I don't know, 15 hours a day for like a few weeks, I had excellent body voltage. The measurements were great. And this voltage stuff is not, it's your body does have this voltage in its cells. As things start going bad, the voltage starts going to zero. When it goes to zero, the cell dies. The cancer cells and the viruses and the microbes are oppositely charged as the body's human cells. So when it's like a war between the an electrical war that's going on. One side has one kind of voltage, the other side has the other voltage. The zapper increases the good side and diminishes the bad side. That's a separate issue. That's a separate issue, but I want to mention that in here because I like it, because the only thing, once you buy one of those things, the only thing you got to do is keep recharging a good quality rechargeable battery and you're done. But I don't think the zapper is as strong as this GcMAF, but then I don't know, if you're combining all these things, that's a pretty powerful freaking recipe to freaking knock out some pretty bad stuff. Now, if you can knock out all viruses and cancers, and you can lengthen the telomeres on your body, on your individual chromosomes in your body, you will live thousands of years and look like you're 20-something years old the whole time. Like, a lot of people don't probably realize that a lobster could be 500 years old, a lobster, and they're just like they're 1 year old. They do not age. That's because the telomeres are really long on their chromosomes. We could probably have that capability too, and they're probably right on the cusp of it. I don't think they're going to give this to the average people, though. It's going to be for the elite. And that's one thing I'm thinking, even with this GcMAF, maybe it's not for us. It's not for us. It's a pretty surprising that, people in Hollywood probably aren't aware of this, because they're not really You know, they could be a Hollywood star, and they do not they're not really the highest people on the totem pole. They're people we see. You know, I mean, the highest people on the totem pole. Well, the other problem is when people are high up, they always get surrounded by people trying to make money off of them, and if they cure them of something, they're not going to make money off of them. You know, it's another sort. They get surrounded by the the BBBS is really what it is. That's one of the problems with having too much money, because you get surrounded by people telling you everything in the world, and you got to be smart enough. You got to be smarter than the people around you, which is, and there can be some pretty smart people around you. That's why you got a problem when you even got money. What I'm telling you though is common sense layman's approach, and I did give you a lot of various things. And I also want to mention here is something else. The Spooky 2 plasma. I'm not a fan of this spooky remote thing. If you've seen stuff on my channel, but the plasma with the John White advanced cancer settings, where it uses the exact Royal Rife frequencies, and it's done on a 4 hertz gating with feathering in and around the frequency. I'm pretty sure that's highly effective. I've used it, but I don't want to say too much more than that, because, you know, I just want to mention that. So, I mean, I didn't really cover one thing on this thing, and I kind of jumped around, and I did not try to dress it up in a lot of big fancy words. But this GcMAF seems to be the best thing there is. It's been known for decades, and I would opt for, you know, rather than going for the expensive, complicated way, because they got GcMAF you could buy for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I would just get a high quality colostrum, and you know, take that on an empty stomach. It's not gonna hurt you. It's extremely safe. You know, it's nothing bad. And also some of the supplements out there that could have, you know, anti-cancerous effects. You know, I'm advertising this anti-cancer. It does have It's one of it is one of the or the most powerful antioxidants going. If you have too many antioxidants, it does help cancer survive. I mean, just look at all the labels that are issued from, you know, in California. I mean, you know, things that are toxins and harmful to the body. You want those removed from your body. And exercise, by making the voltage of your body cells move in the correct direction. That's really what's going on with exercise too. It's not just you're moving your joints and stuff. It's actually causing the electrical charge in your body to be stronger. And a lot of people don't look at that angle. That electrical charge in your body is the opposite charge of microbes and viruses and cancer. That's why it can help overcome it. Now, of course, if you severely exercise to the point where you damage things, well, your electrical charge is going to go down. It's going to even be worse. But moderate exercise is extremely helpful for another reason. It's actually your electrical charge is being increased. Anyway, over and out. Hopefully I helped some people. I know I jumped around a little bit. I jumped around a lot, but there's a reason for it. Because it's not one single thing. It never is. It never is. It's like all this stuff is related. So I try to give you like the whole mosaic out there in one shot, but how do you do that in one video? Because I don't want to leave nothing out. And I did basically hit all the main topics. So anyway, have a good day.